You've been to the Noah's Ark site, yes?
Oh, many times.
What was your impression
Mhm.
the first time you were there?
I remember it well. Uh, Overwhelming, overwhelming. It was so. I'm not a genius or anything, but it doesn't take a genius to recognize a shipwreck when you see one. And um, from a distance you can tell. Now, when you get up close, it's so big, you can't see the detail that you can see from a distance. When I say detail, the amount of information that you can see from a distance. I didn't have any doubts. I didn't. Um, and I had just met Ron, but after, of course, having him to explain everything to me helped a lot.
How far away from the actual Ark is the area where we believe that Noah and his family lived? It's not too far, is it?
That's probably maybe, I'm not sure, maybe 15 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
It's within walking distance for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I knew that there were graves there, and
Hmm.
if you don't mind, we'll go in a little bit about this about Noah's wife's grave site and
Hmm.
his grave site. Tell me a little bit
Hmm.
about that.
Well, the first day that Ron was there, um, he had no idea where to find the ark. But as they were coming into town, they had prayed that you know, for a sign to know where to start searching. And the taxi stalled 3 times. And they got out of the car and piled up rocks. And so the first pile of rocks was they took off walking um, at a 90-degree angle. And they came to this place, this old house, very old, crumbling, and next to it were 2 tombstones. And he had only remember those little 8 millimeter cameras that your parents would make films
Yep.
of you when you were little?
Yep.
That's all he had. No
So there's no
sound, no
sound.
nothing.
Yep.
Oh no, not only no sound, the quality, the negatives, are that
Hmm.
big. And so he filmed it with that. And um, it had both of these tombstones had a rainbow carved across of them.
Mm.
And then they had a little curly Q that represented a wave, and then with a little simple ship boat sitting on top of it. And walking away from it were 8 people. And these 8 people were the tallest. Then Noah, the next tallest would have been his wife. The next three tallest would have been his sons. And then the smallest three would have been his daughters-in-law. And so he um, he said on the first one, the one that was standing, the head of Noah was turned down this way, and his eye was an X, and his wife's was turned down this way, and her eye was an X. And he talked to people about it, and in iconographic representations, they said that probably represented, since it's a tombstone, it represented that this was the tomb of one of those two, or both of them died at the same time. But the next one, only Mrs. Noah's eyes were closed. So that meant she died first and then Noah died. And so, yeah, he found that he never got back to it again because, um, well, he got robbed that first trip and they took everything. And he got away with, I think, five or four rolls of film, um, that 8 millimeter film. And that's all he had of that. And her grave was robbed in the early 80s after Ron mistakenly shared the information with someone. And so when they dug up her grave, since it's illegal to dig up graves in Turkey,
Mhm.
they busted up the tombstones as well. So
And they were rather
mhm.
large, weren't they, the grave sites?
They were very large, yeah. Yeah, her sarcophagus was 18 foot long. That doesn't mean she was 18 foot long. That just
Right.
means that, but eh, we found some we found some bones, and she was probably at least twice as big as I am. I'm 5'7", 5'8". I would say she was more than that because we've got some of her finger bones, and next to mine, they would be like this,
Oh,
very,
wow.
very large. Yeah, very large. That's all that we were able to find. They got rid of everything else. And she was covered in jewels. And the way that Ron found out that it had been robbed was when Interpol called him in Tennessee and asked him if he knew anything about it. And so he told them he didn't, but that's when they said that it was full of jewelry. Yeah, said that she had uh, a bodice thing around here, a thing around the neck. Um, Golly, I forget everything else.
How did they
Headpiece,
know that?
Well, word gets out because it was sold on the black
Oh, okay.
market, and they got that information. And as they began to trace it, it led to a very important man in Turkey. And at that time, they dropped they weren't going to pursue it.
Hmm.
But Ron and I figured it had to be some Arabs that bought it. They're the only ones who could have afforded
Hmm.
$100 million, US dollars. So,
That's unfortunate, but God did that for a reason. It would probably just be
yeah,
stuff that would muck up the water for us.
yeah,
Probably bring up
a
more
distraction.
problems. Yeah, distraction, exactly.